Black Clover is a series with a whole slew of transformations. It was only a matter of time before Captain Yami would acquire one of his own, and now we've come to that moment. In Black Clover chapter 374, Yami would advance to his demon god form and unveil a whole new level of power. This has caused a bunch of debates within the community. Demon God Yami versus Ultimate Magic Mereoleona, or Neverland or Zed and Asta. Who would win? And how strong is he really? And I'm going to spend the time in this video answering that question, as well as debunking one of the most controversial Black Clover power scaling moments brought to you by this chapter. Let's get into it. Slowly dying on his deathbed, Yami would be saved by his sister and given a demon soul pill. The pill explodes both Yami's magical power and physical capabilities, enhancing his body's healing and pronounces Weg across his body, giving him devil horns, a wing, and markings across his body. And with a Lucius clone encroaching upon him, he would seek to protect his little sister and destroy the Lucius clone with a single strike. This puts him above the vast majority of the series automatically. Remember that most of the other captains are struggling with a Lucius clone, and even needed to siphon away some of his life energy to increase his magic to be able to defeat Lucius, and Yami just defeated one easily with a single attack. Yami would then face off against Morgan, who was even stronger than a Lucius clone. This was stated twice, even by a Lucius clone himself. Here's the thing, Yami is weaker than Morgan. Morgan was able to even counter Yami's Dimension Slash with a wall of dark magic, and Yami would eventually need the help of Noct and Achika to defeat Morgan. And it wasn't even by his doing, it was a triple combo spell where Noct landed the final blow. But Yami would still be at least relative to Morgan, as he is at least 1/3 of the portion of that combination spell, Walpurgis Night, which Morgan considered to have surpassed him. So how does Yami's power stack up against other Black Clover heavy hitters? Mereoleona, Asta, Noelle. Let's start with Neverland versus Demon God Yami. This is one of the biggest debates right now, and the obvious comparison is that struggled to beat a Lucius clone. Yami easily beat one. But it's not that simple. Yami is inside of Neverland. This means that he's being amped by directly. That also means that the Lucius clone was nerfed. Not only that, but we've seen that has gotten stronger thanks to Asta's motivation, as he went from being comparable to Lucius in speed to blitzing dozens of feet behind him before he'd even realize it. Yami can arguably nullify Neverland around him, which would take away that nerf, as Black Moon does erase spells around Yami, and this might mean that he isn't actually even nerfed in these chapters if Black Moon is erasing Neverland. We don't know for sure. Is Yami's soul telling his Black Moon to not nullify Neverland? I don't know. But it kind of depends if we're just going on it right now. All we have is that Yami is way stronger than but is probably a bit faster, if not a lot faster. It's hard to say. Yami can regenerate now. I would probably give the edge to Yami over but that's going to change very quickly. And when it comes to Yami versus Ultimate Magic Mereoleona, this is a 50-50 interpretation type thing for me. Because if you look at it, Yami, he should be stronger and faster than Mereoleona, as he easily defeated a Lucius clone. And Lucius clones should be relative to the Paladins. There's a debate of, are all the Paladins equal, or is Paladin Morgan the strongest? It's hard to say, but with how easily he defeated a Lucius clone, I think that would put him above Mereoleona. But her ultimate magic makes her intangible. A lot of people put into question, will Dimension Slash work on Mereoleona's ultimate magic? But remember, Morris, who can use Dismantle to destroy space itself, or even concepts, he could not touch Mereoleona. So why would Yami's Dimension Slash, a spatial ability, be able to touch her if Morris cannot? I genuinely think the only argument you can make for Yami here is him using Black Moon, which nullifies and erases spells that go inside of it. But then it's okay, can Black Moon nullify something it can't even touch? It's very, very debatable. But also there's the case of, Mirio is not strong enough to defeat Yami, which is why I think it's a 50-50 interpretation here. You can argue that Black Moon might be able to nullify her ultimate magic, and then Yami would just destroy her easily. But anyways, there's also Asta, and there's just no way Yami is winning against Asta. Look at it like this. Asta, in his base form, can damage a Lucius clone. And with just his black form, he can fight 2 Lucius clones at once, and significantly blitz one of them as well. He's not even using his Devil Union, he's not using Zetten, and he's not even at full power because he gave a bunch of his anti-magic to the Black Bulls. Remember that Zetten alone is a 20 to 40 times multiplier, so if Yami tried to fight Asta, I don't think it would be close. He would just get Zettened and be destroyed. Though I would pick Yami over Noelle just because of how much help and time she needed to take down Astier, and we don't even know if Astier is the strongest. If we just go by statements, Morgan is the strongest paladin, and Noelle fought a Lucius clone for a while, and the Lucius clone was actually there enough to slow down Noelle. against her mother, whereas, again, Yami no-diffed a Lucius clone. This is probably controversial, but Demon God Yami is probably weaker than Noct. The reason why I say that is that once Noct goes quadruple union, he actually fights against Paladin Morgan, and he does it better than Yami does. When they're fighting, their speed is equal as they move, and when they clash, they basically equalize out. Whereas Yami is shown to be essentially inferior to Morgan's actual physical movement speed, and also weaker than his attack potency. This is not something I expected at all, but yeah, if Demon God Yami fought against quadruple union Noct, I think that Noct would win and Demon God Yami would lose. This is going to be a case of where Yami is probably going to be wanked by the fandom and be a lot stronger than he really is, even though he is strong. Just don't get me wrong there. He is strong, but he's not the god tier of the verse. If we're going to give Yami's Demon God form attack potency values, well, he's going to be pretty strong. If you go with the lower end metas, he scales above a crazy amount of feats. You have Demon Licked covering the entire planet in clouds, which is a moon level feat if you assume that the Black Clover is just the size of Earth, despite the evidence that states otherwise. And then Lumiere dispersing those clouds faster than Licked could create them is a small planetary feat. And those are characters from like 170 chapters ago. 2 time skips ago. It's not even close. Yami would also scale above Conrad's Doomsgate, which according to the light novel of the movie, was going to destroy the planet. But, I mean, one of the best feats in the series is just done by Yami himself. When Yami, in the anime, and it's an episode where Tabata was actually directly there to supervise and approve it, and that it's episode 151, where Yami destroys Glamour World after cutting it in half. Glamour World is an infinite space, and it can even hold the living world, the living universe inside of it. And while people argue this is just pure hacks, and that would mean that Yami doesn't scale to it, but just because something is a hacks doesn't mean it doesn't have attack potency. We've seen numerous times Dimension Slash, you can go against it if you're strong enough. We see this in this chapter where it's Morgan. Well, it's partially his dark magic going against it, but it's also, he's stronger than Yami. And then we have Charlotte with her plant magic. It was actually able to hold back Yami's Dimension Slash partially, even though it was hacks. It's actually stated in that chapter itself that Dimension Slash has a power to it. It has attack potency too. It's not just a hacks. So the hacks with Dimension Slash, that is what is cutting the space. The attack potency or the destructive capacity is the space being destroyed. Like, let's say that you have Dimension Slash and you cut a pizza. If it has no attack potency, the pizza will just spread apart. If you have attack potency and you're like city level, the pizza would obliterate. That's what's happening here. It's not just Glamour, it's getting cut in half. It's collapsing. It's breaking apart on all ends. Yeah, that's a universal feat from Yami. So at the very least, Yami's planetary up to universal. The Demon God form doesn't really do that much when it comes to giving Yami more abilities. He still has all of his old abilities. He has Mana Zone, where it creates his own spatial territory, and he can attack from anywhere inside of it, and it makes him more powerful, faster, better reactions, and actually it gives him resistance to power nullification as well. He can pair that with his Black Hole, combining them to make Black Moon, which nullifies and erases spells inside of it. Of course, he has Dimension Slash that cuts space, as we already mentioned. And he has Death Thrust, his most powerful spell, and for whatever reason, he hasn't used that in 120 chapters in the 2 fights that he's been in since then. Why are you not using Death Thrust, Yami? So essentially with the Demon God form, it really is just a physical stats and magical power boost with an added boost to his regeneration power. So Demon God Yami is just Yami way stronger, way faster, and he can regenerate now, as he regenerated from wounds that were just seconds away from killing him. So as I said, Demon God Yami is just a stronger Yami, faster Yami that has regeneration. Oh boy, now we've gotten to one of the most controversial moments in Black Clover power scaling history, because one of the latest statements in the Black Clover manga, everybody is rushing to say that Black Clover is now capped at the speed of light, and nobody can be faster. This comes from the fact that Yami is fighting Morgan, and he says that Morgan's attacks are light speed. He was apparently struggling with these attacks, and because Morgan is stated to be stronger than a Lucius clone, that puts him at the strongest in the verse, which means he must just be purely light speed, nothing more, right? And that makes it so that everybody else in Black Clover is not light speed if Morgan is right now the strongest, and he's just light speed. No, guys, this is a terrible argument. Why are we doing this in 2024? This is like when it was stated that Maki was getting blitzed by Mach 3 speeds, even though she literally had feats and scaling well above that. It's an outlier. Or we have Shigaraki from My Hero Academia, who scales to characters with large country to multi-continental scaling, or even higher than that possibly. But then you have a statement where it says that it would take him a week to destroy Japan, because that's an outlier. Or what about this? I've seen people with Marshall profile pictures try to argue that, well, now Mosh blitzes Asta, but are we all forgetting what happened in the ending of that series? When the final villain of the series was stated to have human-level perception speeds of 0.1 seconds, and yet this character is still allowed to be scaled to be faster than light by the majority of the fans and the majority of power scalers? This is just Black Clover getting unfair treatment. So, but anyways, as I've already pointed out, why we discount outliers in other series and why it should be discounted in Black Clover, let's actually analyze what happened here, because it's a terrible argument. It should not be used to downplay the series. Because if you actually read the chapter, Yami never struggled with the speed. He struggled with an attack that is stated to be light speed, but not the speed of it, it's the power. Yami says a light speed attack, and then he mentions how his Black Moon is struggling here. Remember, Black Moon is supposed to be a power nullification spell that erases spells. But either because Morgan is too strong, or he has spells that have resistance to power nullification, because again, Black Moon is not nullified in these spells. They're going right through his Black Moon. But when we see it actually happens here is Yami effortlessly parries these light beams. And the funny thing is that while Yami is in the middle of parrying one of these light beams, right here, Morgan creates another spell above him and attacks him from behind while he's in the middle of parrying a different attack, yet he still effortlessly parries the sneak attack. The only time that Yami struggles with these attacks is when Morgan knocks him off balance and he's falling over. Otherwise, again, he's easily parrying these attacks or he's running away from these attacks like they're nothing. We've also been shown that Morgan is faster than his light attacks. I mean, look here. Yami is easily running away from all these light beams. Then all of a sudden, Morgan outruns his light beams and hits Yami. But Yami still parries the attack from Morgan, who's moving faster than his light beams? How is Yami struggling here when he's actually countering them every single time? And then, when a character moves faster than the attacks, he still counters them in terms of speed. Morgan is just too strong for him. Not only that, but when you actually read the chapter and look at the pages, Noct is falling away, a light beam is going towards him, and nobody is near Noct. Then all of a sudden, in the next panel, the very next panel, Yami is there in front of Noct, and he's already parried the attack. Based on the distance here, Yami would need to have moved faster than Light Beam in order to save Noct. It also happens with Ichika when Yami is falling backwards. Nobody is near Yami, and then in the next panel, Ichika has enough time to run in, create a new spell to warp these light beams, which means that Ichika moved faster than the light beams as well. So we have Yami not really actually struggling with the speed here, or it's Morgan's speed, not the actual light speed beams, and also Ichika moving faster than them too. But I also want to bring up, it's just blatant, again, that Morgan is faster than his attacks. Remember that when Morgan attacked Jack the Ripper attacked back with his final slash. His final slash moved so fast that you can see the length of the slash in the ground compared to the curvature of the earth. And then we can see how far Morgan's light traveled, and based on calculations, Jack's slash moved 5 to 15,000 times the distance of Morgan's attack, or 5 to 15,000 times faster. Yet, despite that, Morgan still physically moved out of the way, which means he is moving faster than his attacks. This is why we actually see him outrun his laser beams, as I mentioned earlier, when he's launching them at Yami. But guys, are we really going to try and argue that this is consistent at all? We had 4 other light speed statements between 170 and 330 chapters ago. Patri and Raya were both stated to be light speed multiple times. Lumiere was stated to be light speed in his base form. And not only that, but it's literally stated within the power system that if you get more magic power, you get faster. And it's even stated that light magic can get faster. It's even stated that magic power growths are linear speed growths. If you actually read how Zora explains the traps in the Japanese Raws of the Spade Saga, it says that he doubles magic power. That's how his traps work. If Zora doubles the power and speed of traps by doubling their magic power, that means if you double your magic power, you double your speed. We know that these characters vastly increase their magic power, like Elf Patri, his magic power vastly greater than regular Patri, who's stated to be light speed. And all these characters, like these are hundreds of chapters ago, guys. Not only that, but we go back, we have Dark Elf Patri, who's stated to have demon light that's faster than regular light. And Asta can react to Ray of Divine Punishment. The regular version, 130 chapters before that, was light speed, and now the demon light version that's faster than light, and he can react to it. But then a stronger and faster Asta gets blitzed by Dante 6 to 11 months later. Or we have Nozel also reacting to Dark Elf Patri's light, but then in the Spade Saga, he gets blitzed by holding back Lucifero. How are we going to argue that Yami's statement is consistent, especially when we know for a fact that Yami's gotten way faster since fighting Patri? In episode 156, again, another episode that was canon and supervised by the creator of Black Clover, Yami trained with Muriel Leona. When he's fighting her, he can't believe how fast she is, even though he has fought Raya and Patri before, who again were stated to be light speed back in the cave arc. So again, how can he be fighting somebody and not even believe how fast they are when he's already fought light speed characters? He also says that she is so fast that he cannot read her ki, even though he could read the ki of Patri and Raya, who again are light speed. This would mean that Muriel Leona just objectively is faster than light. And look, crazy thing is that once Yami learns how to use Mana Zone to increase his speed, he actually blitzes her in the fight, which means we have Yami literally blitzing somebody who's objectively faster than the speed of light. But no, we're just going to say that No, Black Clover caps at light speed because of one statement. We have other feats with support too, like Yuno is able to protect the entire noble realm with a barrier before the light of the angels can attack the citizens. This has been calculated by Clover Dragon to be hundreds of times the speed of light. And then we have Yami cutting Glamour World, destroying an infinite space. And even if you just want to say that it's not infinite, it's just the size of a multi-solar system sized realm because of the stars in the sky, well, that would still be millions of times the speed of light. And Dorothy dodged that slash, and so many characters, including Yami. So basically anybody who's relevant in the Spade Saga beyond would scale above Dorothy in speed. Also, we have this statement from the data book that says Yuno was faster than Elf Raya and Elf Patri. So again, these are superior versions of their light speed versions of themselves, like 100 whatever chapters before. Yet it states that blatantly, Yuno's speed overwhelms them. This is not even close to the fastest or strongest version of Yuno in the Elf Saga, let alone now. It's pretty blatant here, guys. But hell, even if you want to say that Morgan is legit capped at light speed, that doesn't mean that the entire verse would be, because Asta in just his black form blitzed Lucius to the point where they were dozens, if not hundreds of feet behind him before he even realized it, which is a vastly superior speed output, who Demon God Yami is relative to Morgan in speed. And Asta still has his Devil Union to get faster. He can also stack Zeton on top of that, which is a 20 to 40 times speed increase. Also, he doesn't even have all of his anti-magic power because he's given it to the Black Bulls. So yeah, this is just an outlier. This is incredibly inconsistent with the rest of the series. We have one statement of Paladin Morgan being lightspeed compared to 4 statements of previous characters being lightspeed. Statements that increasing magic power increases speed linearly, a statement that light can get faster from magic power increases, and several feats that are beyond light speed. Realistically, Yami at bare minimum in his demon god form is thousands of times the speed of light, and likely many millions of times, if not more. To be honest, I kind of liken this to people cherry-picking statements. For example, when Lux says the Glamour World is infinite in size, and even though the creator of Glamour World affirms that statement, people in real life argue the statement is incorrect. Whereas on the other hand, a statement by Yami, which is contradicted by the entirety of the rest of the series, is completely taken at face value. That's what we're dealing with here, guys. As you can tell, this video ended up being mostly focused on the speed scaling, but I mean, it makes sense because that's going to be the biggest contention about discussing the power and speed of Demon God Yami. In my opinion, anybody arguing that Yami is slower than light in the latest chapters is either misinformed or dishonest. We literally see him moving faster than the light beams. But guys, keep in mind that I don't think this is the peak of Yami either. If we look at Yami's demon god form and compare it to black form Asta, it looks like Asta's first version of his black form. It looks incomplete. So I do think we'll be seeing more of Yami and maybe more of his evolved devil form in the future. So just because I'm making this video now does not mean this is the peak of Yami and Black Clover. I would be surprised if he doesn't get even stronger. With that being said, hope you guys did enjoy the video. But I also want to know, what do you guys think about the lightspeed stuff down below? Because yeah, like it looks pretty damning, but when you actually think about it, when you actually read it, it's not. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for the support. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Join me in Discord, follow me on Twitter, and peace out, everybody.